Alright, how y'all doing? This is another YouTube and we talking about something different today. Today I want to talk about color. Everybody has been trying to color their hair. It's the summertime, so I done seen some blues, some greens, some oranges, some honeys and everything else. Some folks supposed to have been red, but they done turned out purple. Some folks supposed to have been blue, but they done turned out green. Some folks dyed their hair black and didn't realize you couldn't lift over that black. So what you did was you put some more bleach on that black and turned it ashy, and it just didn't come out right. So today I want to talk about color. Color is a very, very risky part of your hairstyling process, especially when you got locks going on. When you have locks and the porosity of your locks down here at the bottom, this part of the locks, the porosity changes. So the color doesn't take as well as it will here and as quick as it will here as it does when it gets to your scalp. Have you ever heard of hot roots? You ain't never heard of hot roots? I got an experiment for you. I want you to go in your bathroom. I want you to put a whole bunch of color all over your head, just all over your lock, all over your whole head, and you watch what color fast. The part where your locks is closest to your roots and still connected to your scalp, that's the part that's going to process the quickest, because your scalp is putting off heat. The color and the different nutrients and possibilities and everything that are in the color process quicker when heat is closer to it. So that's why you're putting folks under the dryer and doing that whole nine. So what I always do was, no matter what I do, unless I'm doing a retouch, I always start 3/4 to the bottom of the lock, then I work my way up. That way, the bottom of the lock that has the lower porosity is going to go ahead and start absorbing the color, taking in all the color that I want it to absorb, and start the changing process. Also, what that's going to show me is if you've been doing a whole lot of stuff to it, like putting a lot of oil in it, just letting stuff sit in it, you've been damaging it and everything else, then that lock possibly ain't going to do nothing. Not a thing at all. It's probably just going to sit there, and every time you put more and more color on it, which is more and more bleach, it is not going to change. It is going to remain the same. So a lot of times, like they teach you in school, it's best to start with a patch test. Start with the weakest link at the bottom of the corner of the nape of the neck back here, and put some color on it. See what that lock does. If that lock changes, then you have a decent porosity in your lock, and you can go ahead and continue with your coloring process. Again, because each level of color, whether you get a box color or anything, you have to start with bleaching the hair, because you're coming from the darkest pigment, which is this natural melanin tone. Okay? So understand that. Now, after you figure out what you're going to do, what type of coloring process you want to do, you then want to do a consultation with your client and ask your client, what do you want? What kind of color you want? How you want it to look? How you want it to come out? You're looking for ombre, upside down ombre. You're looking to just retouch those roots. You're looking to cover up them grays because you're 25 and you don't want nobody to think you're 45. Like, you just got to let it be known really what you want to do, so that going forward, you can fix that hair. Okay? By the time you put that color on, if it is not what you were looking for, sometimes you have to give it some time before you correct it. I have seen people go back and want to put toners and different things on it just to fix the process, when that's not the way that you do that. Sometimes you have to wait a little bit and give it some time before you go back and try to alter that coloring process, being that you've already taken on the lower porosity hair, and you've taken on the hair that has the decent level of porosity, and you've altered it so much. So give that hair some time, rebuild it, and give it some life again before you try starting over. Before you also want to get your coloring process started, you want to make sure that that hair has moisturization. You want to make sure that hair has protein. You want to make sure that you are coloring the healthiest hair that you can color, or you will dry that hair out and you will start to break that hair off. I have seen it over and over again where hair has become dehydrated and all of the above, just because folks want to slap a bleach on there, put the person under the dryer, get to the next client, and just let that client wait and fry. This is not eggs or a ham sandwich or a spam sandwich. You are not waiting for this to cook in no cast iron skillet. Watch what you were doing. This is people's head. Some people also have a sensitive scalp. So you just throwing that bleach on that will fry them, and you can give them follicular damage. So being that you kind of went through all the precautionary measures and all the things that you needed to do beforehand, I then after that give my client a book to look through. All right, now this is the book that I show my people. In this book is many levels of color that you can see there that we can start from, so they can see where they're going, where they want to come from, what they want to do, and I show them all of the above just so that they can get a feel and an understanding for what's going on. I'm gonna close this book before I slap Dominique in the face one more time. But that book pretty much helps out the client so they can understand where they're going and what's gonna happen. Now, what you don't know is you have to learn different colors, because the hair could be black, ashy black, soft brown, dark brown, all of the above. You have to know that too. So just throwing a color on a black hair, you have to know how the black hair is going to transpire. Or throwing the color on some brown hair, how that's going to come out. Because each color and each shade brings out a different shade of the outcome. It may work faster or it may work slower. So now we've chosen the color that we want to go to. Now we're going to choose the method. Some clients, like I said before, they want just a retouch. They just want you to get in here and touch that scalp. Some clients want an ombre, where they want to get in and touch the bottom of it and just let it do a natural fade up. Some clients, they like to do the clown effect. They want the natural ombre. They want the ombre at the roots and at the bottom of the hair. Just do all kind of extra stuff. So then you got to bend them over at the shampoo bowl, do all these extra positions, put their behinds in the air just to rinse out their color, because they want all this extra stuff. But it is your job to execute that process correctly. So now in all of this and all of these different color techniques that I'm talking about, I'm going to show you a few of them. We're going to start with just a retouch. In retouching, your hair has already been colored. It's already been bleached. It's already been everything that you were going to do to it going forward. Now what you're going to do in a retouch is just where that person has grown out that black that they do not want, because at this point they want to be a natural blonde. You want to just touch up that scalp and take that blonde out. That black out to make it all blonde again. Now fill up your applicator bottle with either your 10, your 20, or your 30 volume. Your 10 volume is going to lift 1 level. Your 20 volume is going to lift 2 levels. Your 30 volume is going to lift 3 levels on out. Understand what bleach they're going for, and make sure even if you did not do the first application, you did not bleach their whole head, when you do the retouch, it is your job to match it as if you did do the beginning phases. So then you just want to take the applicator bottle as you have this little spout and just work your way through the scalp, just pretty much administering the color in that way, not overlapping the bleach, because then at that point where the two bleaches touches, you will have a brighter spot. So you want to make sure they touch just right, so that going forward the bleaches don't have a line of what can be called demarcation, or it just looks unprofessionally done. You ever seen your homegirl come over to my girl, I just got my hair done, and she look like somebody got silver dimes in the middle of her hair? That's not the style she was going for. Somebody overlapped that bleach and they did not know what they was doing, and they just let it sit there, so it caked and fried her roots, and her ends was just what she had before. That's not good. Okay, bleaching takes away levels of the cuticle layer of your hair. Now, if you're not careful with that, that can burn the hair and make the hair extremely weak, especially if you're not conditioning and shampooing that hair through a proper process to get that bleach out and to stop that bleach action. Okay, next application is a client that pretty much wants to just do an all over color lift. Now I like to keep my color lifts natural looking. I don't like them to look all elementary where you just throw color on and it's all over their forehead, their eyebrows, their ears, and everything else. I like to take the color and keep it natural looking for people that, you know, have professional jobs and all of the above. So what then that same thing I do on this one, I take my applicator bottle, as in again, I fill it with my 10, my 20, my 30, and my 40, depending on how many levels I want to go, depending on after I give them the book to show them what they want to do, and we go from there. And then if they tell me that they just want a soft brown, then I know with my bleach, I can just go in, lifting 2 levels, if their hair is already just a natural ashy black, and give them a soft brown, making sure that I saturate the hair. Now this is different than from when you're doing loose natural hair. Loose natural hair, you don't need that much. You just put it in, work it all over, it's good. In locks, you need to saturate it because it has to go through that porosity, that low porosity hair, and sometimes it may penetrate, sometimes it may not. especially if they use too much oil or they put too many products in the hair. Because before you get this process started, you cannot shampoo that hair. That hair cannot be wet. This is not a rinse. Rinses, you can shampoo once or twice with a clarifier and put that color on to make it stick. Not in this case. In this case, the hair needs to be dirty. It has to be vulnerable. It has to be itself. So if you put the color on and that hair is filthy and it's full of oils and everything else, that bleach and that color is going to tell you. It's going to come out immediately, and it's going to look real oily. It's going to look like BP that dumped some more oil in Galveston Ocean, and it's not going to look good. The hair is going to be real clammy, real build-up looking, and the bleach is only going to penetrate certain areas, depend on where it made it through versus where it did not. So that's another thing you want to look for. At that point, once you realize that the color is not going to penetrate, that there was too much product put in the hair, you want to immediately take that off. Talk to your client about necessary processes, like next time you come in, we need to do 2 clarifying shampoos, give you 2 sets of those for the next 1 to 2 months. Then let's try coloring again, because it's the reason why your client was saturating their hair with a whole bunch of product in the first place. Either that hair was really dry or something was going on. So that's something else you want to do before doing a color, because a color is one of those luxury type process of hairstyles. So if you not understand of what's going on or what you're doing when it comes to a color, you can either burn the hair, over process the hair, or just pretty much dry the hair out, which all can be very bad, especially when you're locking. You can start discombobulating the base of the lock, and that can start a whole nother aspect of different things. Because then think about it, once you start breaking down the base, you're going to go to somebody that's going to want to interlock you, rewrap it, put all kind of lock extensions and stuff on it. You did not fix the problem when the problem just started because of you did a bad color. So making sure that hair is healthy, making sure the hair has a great porosity level, making sure the hair is conditioned properly with moisturization, and making sure that the hair and the bases of the locks look good, that's when it's good to go ahead and start administering your color. Now, one thing I did not show you guys in this video is how I do my what do you call it, the ends, that a lot of people want. But let me basically explain to you real fast. I want to show you, and then I'm gonna talk to you about how to cover up grays, that's too easy. When I do my color on the ends, basically what I do is I take each quadrant of the head and I bundle it just like so. Not too big, not too small. I take the section and I put 1 rubber band around it. Now what this does is it makes that whole section even. It is not just laying here to where it's laid out layered. It's not going too forward. Well, part of it's shorter and the other part is longer. This is real even at this point. So when I put my color on, I can just work my color around in an even cylinder and just let it go after I foil it. Foiling it is going to keep it together and also help the heat run through the color like I needed to, which is going to make the bleach do what I needed to do. So just letting it hang and trying to put it on this way is not going to work, because it's going to be extremely layered. Then the top of the locks are going to have less color and the bottom is going to have a lot, and it's not going to look good. So I work it through the rubber band this way so that the whole head is even and it looks even and it just works fluently. After I finish, I just basically take my rubber band off and I just shampoo it all off. I'm not worried about any type of color running or whatever at this point, because it's just the bleach, and the bleach is not going to run and penetrate the hair that fast. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about is covering up grays. Now, in this grays that we're going to cover up, come on, Megan, give me that box of Begin at that closet. And it's called Begin. For everybody that then went to the beauty supply and you asked Ming Chong for some Beijing, you are wrong. It is called Begin. B-I-G-E-N. This is the best cover up that I have come up with, that I have found. Being that you only mix it with water that's not a chemical base, it's more of a henna type solution. It is going to get in there and cover up those grays versus just go in and just kind of play with them. If you've been through some other kind of colors like Dark and Lovely, some of them other ones, you put them on top of those grays that have no porosity to them, those grays will disrespect that color. So this is why I use the Begin only in that aspect, because you can see here it's targeted for the grays. You see the gray hair here, everything else has been taken over by just that color. It comes in a little small bottle. All you need to add to this is water. It's that basic, it's that natural. So if you were ever talking about something natural, here you go. While you talking about all the rest of this stuff is natural, and it's purple, pink, orange with glitter and everything else in it, smelling like lemon juice and pound cake, that ain't natural. That is not natural. That stuff is infused with all kind of stuff to make it smell and look the way that it does. So I just want to give you an understanding of that. Some of these colors out here that you buying for $1, that McDonald's double cheeseburger color you use, I'm loving it. That ain't working. That is breaking y'all hair off because you just letting it sit there. Then you're going to get what they say is a replenishing pack. That ain't replenish nothing. Ain't nothing got put back in your hair. Your locks are still as dry and crispy as some french fries that's been sitting in the hot heat for about the last hour and a half. You want to work with the hair, especially in coloring your locks, because we went against the grain of what locks do and what locks naturally are. So understand what that color does, how it does it, when it does it. Play with a few locks, even if you have some locks sitting in your drawer. Play with them, see what that color does, see how it processes, to make sure that the next time you administer a lock color or anything to anyone's hair, you come out with a successful rate.
That was the first place I was living where I tried to start locks, and I couldn't find anybody. People would try to start them and they would just keep unraveling and, you know, keep unraveling. And the same thing happened to Damien too, except when it happened with him, Damien knew what to do about it. Right. He knew how to go to plan B and plan C, you know. Just keep going, and I got there.
Start like retwisting with color. For a lot of people, they want to go ahead and start their locks, and some people want to get the color after you start your locks. But the best way to do that is actually get the color before you do it, or wait 6 to 9 months after the fact once your locks have started to mature. The reason I say that is because once you get your locks started and you administer a color, there's a certain type of shampoo process that you're going to need. If you don't want people to go through and break up what you've already started, then you want to give it some time and allow the locks to progress first, then get that game going. So what I always say, and I always advise, is in the beginning, get your locks started, let it mature first, let it get all manipulated, do everything that it's going to do, then start adding the color. But for those of you that are impatient and you want that look from day one, then we're going to have to do the color before we get started. But that also comes with the patch test. That also comes with understanding what you were doing before you came to see me and making sure the hair was healthy. Because as you see here, this person got color before getting their locks started and their hair has grown out. So there's a natural ombre that we have going on now from red back into their natural color black. But it didn't starve the hair, being that we gave the hair proteins and different nutrients throughout the starter locking process. And there are other pictures that you'll see going forward where actually we started the locks with the color at the same time, which is not a harmful process. Just making sure though, like I said before you come to see me, that your hair wasn't crispity crunchy and you didn't do a lot of drying, damaging things to it. So if you was washing me with dog shampoo, mane and tail and all the other type of things, make sure that that hair got conditioned, or you won't be able to put the lock color and the starter lock on at the same time.